Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I felt compelled to get the topic going today, the conversation going regarding the silent hits and the traffic stops that people get. They think that they are random traffic stops, and they are really not. Let me see if we can have Dr. Len Bear. Here he is. Hi, Len. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Anna. Good to see you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here for such an important conversation. I'm going to start right away with a presentation because I don't want to take people's valuable time right now. Everybody's watching Patel and everything, so let's just get right to it. And here it is. I prepared a presentation for you so that you can see that what I'm saying comes from actual documents and from actual you know official sources. So last the topic of this podcast is the weaponized silent hits, is the sponsored harassment of Americans by the FBI. Last Sunday, a tragedy, and I really think it was a tragedy, occurred that one of the J6ers that was pardoned, he was already out. He had served his time because he had had a plea deal, but he was pardoned in his role in January 6th. Well, because there was a traffic stop and there was some aggressivity going on in there, and that I'm going to ask Len to talk about it in a little while. And so the sheriff shot him and he's died. Um, Mathew Huttle from Indiana is a person that I think, if he had known about what we're going to speak about today, perhaps would be alive. Um, he was pardoned, but forever targeted. I have for the past almost 2 years, right? Year and a half, Len. We were doing the Targeted Justice v. Garland podcast where we explained how the FBI illegally places innocent people that do not meet the reasonable suspicion criteria, terrorist criteria, and they put them in two secret categories of the terrorist screening database. So, um, even though J6ers have been pardoned by President Trump, and literally they don't have a criminal record because a pardon cleans up any criminal record, that does not mean that government criminals at the FBI that are still there did not place forever your name as a domestic terrorist in the terrorist screening database. That is a fight that we have been fighting since January 11th, 2023, at many levels of the court. Len, do you have anything to add to this?
No, this is a great summary. This information and understanding of handling code 3 and 4, and the handling codes in the NCIC, but the information derives from the terror screen database, if I understand it correctly. But this information, the conversation about this handling codes, people don't think it's important because it's not in their everyday conversation. It is extremely important if you are in law enforcement, because there's specific instructions how to deal with people when they get a match with the terror screen database. Every encounter, they check the National Crime Information Center, and if that category comes up, there's specific instructions. I will be, yeah, I think you will be talking about. I just want to make sure that people don't take it lightly. Handling code, the secret categories of terrorist screen database is affects a lot of people's life.
Thank you, Len. And they don't even have an idea. Um, So here's the thing, there is something called the Homeland Security Presidential Directive 6, and it was enacted in 2003 and it went into effect in 2004, that they did what is called the terrorist screening database. And in there, the executive that was signed by President Bush, former President Bush, saying you can only put in that list, a consolidated list among 14 agencies, you can only put in there the names of people that meet the terrorist standard, whether they were engaged in terrorist activities or believed to be engaged in terrorist activities. Today, parents that go to school board meetings are deemed domestic terrorists. Catholics that listen to Latin Mass are deemed domestic terrorists. J6ers are deemed domestic terrorists. And guess what? You're all placed on this list that has two secret categories. I'm going to talk about them right now. We have testimony in a deposition by an former FBI supervisor, say terrorist screening center supervisor, saying that the terrorist screening database has never stopped an act of terrorism. It's a futile list. So I'm going to play you this video of one of one of my clients who had one of these silent hits. It's a terrorist screening center silent hit, and play it
Got a
for
silent
you.
hit on me, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you're not supposed to tell me that, and I know it says that, but
No, man, I'm sure you already know the deal. You're good, man. I'm not
Yeah.
tripping over here, you know.
okay. Well, I was gonna give you these flyers for you.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Those
I'm currently in the. We just made it to the Supreme Court, but there's 18 of us
Uh-huh.
that's suing Christopher Wray, Merrick Garland, Cable for the targeting program for the TSDB blacklist.
Yep.
You know
I'll
about
look
that.
into it. Yeah. For
Okay,
sure,
cool.
man. That's
So
pretty
there's
cool.
18 of us, and
Okay.
we get hit hard every day
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah.
From these cell towers.
So, yeah, man, don't worry about it. I'm going to cut your ring warrant today for expired life space. I know you're going to get it fixed when you can, man. Just try to get it fixed, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm right here next to the exigent documents are stopping today, okay?
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've gone twice, and their computers have been down.
Okay.
I guess.
So there you have it. That is the people that are on the list. The license plates of their car and their cars are on the list. So when you go by, you know, these agents, whether it's sheriffs, whether it's police, they get a hit to do a traffic stop on you. It's supposed to be random. No, it's not. And if Mr. Huttle had known about this, I think he would have stepped back, taken a breath, and not let the situation escalate. Now, Len, can you talk a little bit about? We know that many of the people in the terrorist screening database, most everybody in the terrorist screening database gets microwaved some way or the other. How does microwaving a person with directed energy weapons affect their emotional state?
Great question. So, biological and psychological effects of electromagnetic pulse energy can be very severe, and it can range depending on the settings, on the pulse rate, and the pulse rate frequency, on the modulation. It can have either a sort of lethargic effect that you just completely feel in a fog, fatigued, uh, don't want to get up off the couch or exercise for that matter. You just becoming a very lethargic kind of person, and it is the a lot of targets that experience that, they also feel this sensation of buffeting. It's that vibrational pressure that is um, 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 is unknown by most physicians because they don't have a point of reference. They don't know what's going on. But if you're a target of electromagnetic pulse energy, the sensation of buffeting is how you experience. You really need to kind of analyze, what am I actually experiencing, and behind this is this sensation of vibration, because your brain gets entrained to the exogenous electromagnetic pulses. But there's also another way that electromagnetic pulses can affect your brain and behavior, and it activates, it aggravates you. You on pin and needles. You are agitated, and it affects your behavior. And once again, if you kind of analyze what's going on, you can feel that this is not your normal situation. It's not your normal reaction. There's this sensation of buffeting is behind it. So this activation, this aggravation, is also known as a catecholamine dump in the brain. So your brain is a major producer of adrenaline, noradrenaline, and when it's released in the brain, really it just dumps into the brain. It's a fight and flight response. You have to do something. You get active. You're on the edge. You're agitated. And can you imagine if you are the target of this electromagnetic pulses that make you behave this way, but at the same time you're interacting with a law enforcement officer? Now you have to be very careful not to act upon it. And so I'm calling to all the J6ers, the targets, everybody who could be affected by it. And I think it's very prevalent in the population. It's completely underdiagnosed. Just doctors don't know what it is. You really have to be ready for it, and you need to know how to go about it. So take a deep breath, count from 10 to 1 slowly, and by the time you reach 1, you still feeling it, you're still experiencing this agitation, but you're in control of it. That might save your life, my friends.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And it's normal to get really nervous when you get I got a traffic stop. When you get a traffic stop, particularly if you are a J6er that you feel you were framed, because you are at a state, at a higher anxiety state, and we completely understand it. But the system right now still is rigged against you. So you need to, like Dr. Bear says, take a breath and just just be very cordial. This here, this graphic you see here, this slide contains the information. This terrorist screening database that was authorized in 2003. The Office of Inspector General of the Department of Justice of the United States made an audit on the terrorist screening center, and they found that less than 1%, listen to this, less than 1% of the people on the list are what they actually think are known or suspected terrorists. The known ones are the ones that are not allowed to fly. The suspected ones are the ones that are subjected to 2-3 hours of questioning at the airport. Now, the rest, there's three handling code 3, 4, and 5. Most of the people in handling codes 3 and 4, which comprises 97% of the list, do not meet the reasonable suspicion terrorist criteria. That includes most J6ers that are patriots, right? If you're a patriot, you're not a terrorist. And that's the big problem with the weaponized FBI that classified each and every one of you as a domestic terrorist. And this has got to change. And we hope it's going to change the weaponization of the FBI against our own. So you have these two categories. Handling code 3, handling code 4 comprise 97% of a terrorist list, even though the FBI, in statements under penalty of perjury by its own people, affirm, let me show you, I have it here. This is Timothy Grove, former deputy director of the Terrorist Screening Center, admitting that they place people on this list that do not meet the terrorist criteria and are not screened as such when traveling. So they admit that they are not following the instructions on terrorist screening on the Homeland Security Presidential Directive 6. Now, this is what Len was referring to. You can look this up in the internet. If you do the TSC hit on the internet, you are going to get this. This is what the cops get on their computers when they detect the license plate of your car if you are on the TSC. Notice what it says, handling code 3, approach with caution. When that agent intervenes with you, he thinks you are a terrorist because the FBI has told them you're a terrorist, a suspected terrorist. So they're scared. They're also on the edge, right, Len?
Yes, yes. And I have a question about this valuable information. Now that you're empowered with this knowledge about this handling codes in 3 and 4, and you know what the instructions to the policemen, how to behave, not to reveal this information, but to just look around, collect maybe information and report it back to the terrorist screening, to the FBI. Now that you know about it, in the video that you showed, the gentleman basically said, I know what's going on. I know about what you instructed to do. Is this a good strategy?
Well, one of the things I think, as long as you do it peacefully, and one of the recommendations I have, I don't know if I have it in the next slide now. If you do it peacefully, like he did, and I carry in my car flyers with that graph of the terrorist screening center, and to let them know, listen, you got me either in handling code 3 and 4, but here is the evidence. None of these people meet the terrorist criteria. You are being set up. You, agent, are being set up. But to do it in a very calm, because I think it's our role to educate. Many of these policemen are doing the harassment tactics, but they are being prompted by the FBI government criminals that set up this shenanigan to go after our own, which is one of the things that Rand Paul said. This government agencies have been weaponized to go after our own. So yeah, I think that as long as you do it, very calmly and non-aggressively, I think that it is our duty to red pill these cops. These instructions are written by the Terrorist Screening Center and sent to over 18,000 law enforcement operations in the United States, state, tribal, and federal. So they say a TSC hit, Terrorist Screening Center hit, is not a gang member. Okay. Oh yeah, but they're calling you suspected terrorist. And like in the previous slide, it says, look around for evidence to see, and then call us and let us know that you stopped. Now, one of the interesting things is that most of these people that are stopped have never had even a criminal record, and they have to report that too. And I know that because of the information we have studied during our case, Targeted Justice versus Garland, trying to eliminate these two illegal subcategories of the Terrorist Screening Center that are used to target innocent Americans. So this is part of the instructions they give them. Officers should listen to that. Officers should gather as much information as possible, meaning a fishing expedition. So you just, keep quiet. You just give your paper, your license, and your car's permit, and that's it. You don't have to, like, you can't talk about, you probably got a silent hit on me on TSC and it's completely illegal. I am not a terrorist, and 97% of the people on the list are not terrorists. That's what, but beyond that, not talk about anything else. That's my recommendation.
Yes.
What do you say, Len?
Yeah, just one comment. I can see both sides of, the what kind of behavior you choose do you choose to engage with this argument that, hey, I know what you instructed to do, but it once again, the advice that you're given is solid. Do it in a very calm, non-offensive way, because I can see how some cops can take it as a personal offense. Listen, do not tell me how to do my job. So be cognizant of it. So that's just
Mm,
my comment about that.
absolutely. Maybe the best way is to have the flyer in the glove compartment and just give it to them. That's
be,
one of
be,
the things I do.
be careful, because if you reach for the glove compartment,
Oh,
they
that's
might say,
true.
"Oh,
That's
you know,
true.
you're
That's how,
reaching
yeah. Well,
thoroughly."
actually, but then when you get stopped, as soon as you get stopped, by the time he gets to your car, because he's checking the computer, you can have it on the on the seat, on the passenger seat. I don't know, but no, you're totally right, because that's one of the things that happened to Mr. Huddle, that they're saying now, oh, he had a weapon. I am absolutely certain he did not threaten the cop with a weapon. The sheriff. He had just gotten out of he had just gotten pardoned. He had gotten a new lease on life. I do not think that he could have been imprudent unless he was being, again, attacked with microwaves, which could have happened. Now, you're going to say, well, how do I get off this list? Because I was in a J6ers space the other day, and somebody was giving misinformation, somebody that purported to be law enforcement, saying that once they get pardoned, they get erased. No, that's not true. You don't get erased from the terrorist screening database. That's another thing. Number two, he was saying that there were ways to get out of the list. And for those people that are in handling codes 3 and 4, I have bad news. There's no way, because here's the thing. Number one, if you do a FOIA to the FBI asking, is my name on the terrorist screening database, they are going to reply to you, we cannot confirm or deny. Of course, that was up to Christopher Wray. We hope that the things are going to change when Mr. Patel gets confirmed, because he has vowed that the FBI will no longer be weaponized against Americans. Number two, if you try to get removed, in order for you to get removed, it's only done through a procedure when you are denied boarding. Most of the people in handling codes 3 and 4 never get denied boarding, because they're never even supposed to find out that they are on the terrorist screening database, because nobody is supposed to tell them about it. We only have two cases of people that the sheriffs told the person, oh, we were told that a suspected terrorist lived here. And that is how he connected the dots as to the microwave attacks he was feeling and being on a terrorist screening database. So there's really no recourse, except that we have to ask Congress and ask the FBI to shut down these illegal categories of the terrorist screening database that are handling codes 3 and 4. Len, like you said, when getting a traffic stop, this is a summary of what we already said. Just take a breath, because it is very likely that these people can be doing remote energy attacks, and that is not fantastical. You can go to our website, targetedjustice.com, and that is a topic for another podcast. However, if you look within and make an inventory of how you physically feel, and how maybe you wake up in the mornings and you're not yourself and you're in pain, and how you, like Dr. Bear says, your levels of anxieties are high, Harold, are higher than normal. Like you say, this is not me. This like, you get triggered really fast. You get angry really fast. Well, there is a scientific explanation to it. And like Dr. Bear explained, you know, when you observe yourself, you can detect it. Right, Len?
Yeah, I really use like the word that you use. Do the inventory. Part of this inventory should be asking yourself, if I'm agitated about something, if I'm aggravated by something, what is it that makes me feel this way? And when you go through this self-analysis, you realize that you really are not agitated about anything, and that means that that emotional feeling, it's imposed upon you. It's literally they are modifying your behavior in real time. So take a breath, exhale slowly, do the countdown in your mind. You will see, then it becomes a habit, and your emotions come down, just like it's a new skill you acquire, and it becomes really easy to rebalance your emotions.
Absolutely. I don't want to overwhelm you, but as a person who is in a targeted in the terror screening database, because make no mistake, I'm absolutely certain every single J6er is in the terror screening database because it was Christopher Wray's mission to curtail all patriotism and all trace of this America First movement. That was his. That was his one of his main goals. So do not doubt for a second you're not here. 75% of the people in handling codes that are in handling code 4 in the terror screening database, 75% are in handling code 4. And what that means is that they're the microwave attacks that they're susceptible to, and the organized stalking, the hacking, all the kind of things they do to you when you are on the TSDB. Well, they are subtler because they have to be plausibly deniable. Now, that does not mean you're not getting attacked with directed electromagnetic weapons and all the things that come along with it. So I want to defer to Dr. Bear because 22% of the people on the list do know that they are on the list unjustly, and many of them have developed what is being talked about, the Havana syndrome, and that is one of the things that may concern all these J6ers, because I know for a fact that some of you started hearing voices while in solitary confinement in prison. So that what that means is nothing but that you were being hit with microwave weapons. And so, Dr. Bear, can you just mention a little bit about our push for Congress to recognize that civilians are also the victims of Havana syndrome, and that there is, and I dare say, a silent Havana syndrome epidemic in this nation, not just among federal employees. Len?
Yes, this is a very important initiative that we started here, Targeted Justice. We established a civilian registry for diagnosed cases of Havana syndrome and its anomalous health incidents, just like for the federal employees and their families. And we know we saw the report of Government Accountability Office about the DoD AHI registry, anomalous health incident, Havana syndrome, and we know how many people qualified for medical help due to AHI, and we know that there are 15 children in that registry. In our registry, we just this month, we published the first interim report on the civilian registry, found everywhere, our Substack, Target Justice website, ResearchGate. It's one of the most accessed documents on ResearchGate in top 2%. We we are aware of about 30 civilians diagnosed by physicians. We only have 7 of those who volunteered the information to be in the registered in the civilian registry. But the purpose of it is to have this answer to the question posed by a representative from New York, Representative Daniel Goldman. He asked at the House Subcommittee hearing on intelligence and DHS, um, the Homeland Security, about the AHIs, foreign and domestic. He said, "Are there civilians diagnosed with Havana syndrome who are not federal employees or their family?" And the witnesses simply could not answer the questions. And their excuse was, "Well, we only work with federal employees." Well, this is not going to be the case anymore, because this information is out there. There's no excuse for not inviting me, Anna, Richard Lighthouse, Target Justice method in a methodologically sound fashion. We collate this information, we verify this information, and it is a data that should put us in front of Congress. I would like to be in the witness chair and educate the Congress uh, committees on these atrocities. Havana syndrome, like you said, is an epidemic. It's a cognitive degradation process. You're being tortured with this uh, anomalous health incidents. They can be extremely painful, extremely unpleasant. You have this cognitive meltdown. You have vestibular symptoms. You lose balance. You basically, it incapacitates you. Some people literally get on the ground and scream out of their lungs. How is that for torture? And then that results in a progressive cognitive decline, because these attacks, they degrade the brain literally from inside out. The degradation is on the molecular level. The brain gets desynchronized. You observe slow delta waves. I mean, there's nothing good about Havana syndrome, and it happens to adults, it happens to children, and it is unacceptable. Congress needs to take control of the situation. The CDC has to start tracking. Law enforcement has to start investigating. And those three things are not happening, and we're going to change that.
Thank you, Len. I want to, what he described is for pretty much the people that are in handling code 3 who already know that they are targeted. But for those of you, and I'm sure most success, like I said before, are in handling code 4, that, you get the hits, but not as overt as the people in handling code 3. I can tell you that sometimes you just wake up and you feel like you have a hangover, you get brain fog, you start forgetting things. Sometimes you start losing your teeth, start getting attacked, you start losing your vision. There are things that it's like an accelerated degradation of your physical condition that you think, oh my God, I'm getting old real fast. But no, it's that you're being the victim of these microwave attacks that we can talk about that later. Am I correct in that,
Yes,
Len?
yes, there are more subtle ways, and we consider ourselves experimental subjects for this. We're victims. We've been terrorized by our government to have this torturous and episode and being degraded from inside out. But it is an ongoing experiment. Okay, what happens if we apply this kind of energy for this duration? How can we when is it subtle and sort of unacknowledged by the target, and when it is done covertly? So it's a continuum. There's degrees of damage, degrees of information, of the intensity, and it's also a social engineering experience, because you can have people around you are also targeted and manipulated and exposed to this energy without their knowledge. So It can be done overtly. It can be done covertly, and there's and there are grades of this condition, gradations. Sorry.
Absolutely. I was microwaved for decades and I didn't realize it. So don't think that if you don't get, like, if you're definitely getting the voices, well, yeah, that's overt. But don't think that just because you don't get like a really bad, like what you described, you're not being the victim of this. What can you do? Well, one of the great things about the J6ers community and the other activists, the anti-vaxxers, the anti-COVID injection, experimental injection, are here too. In this, they were declared suspected terrorists and placed in there by government criminals at the FBI that have weaponized that agency against our own. So what can you do? One of the most important thing is we need to demand from Congress and from the president handling codes 3 and 4 be absolutely eliminated, because the FBI admits that they are reserved but for people that do not meet the terrorist criteria that requires Homeland Security Presidential Directive 6. And it's even worse. Samuel Robinson, one of those deputy directors at the Terrorist Screening Center, said under penalty of perjury in a document that people are placed there under secret criteria. I hope Kash Patel does away with all of that, because it is the weaponization of the FBI and law enforcement tools against our own. And demand that anybody placed on the TSDB have to meet at the very least the probable cause standard. Then I think, here you can, if you want some more information about the work we've been doing and how we are working for the freedom of all Americans and 6 million people around the world, because do not think that this is limited to the United States. People outside of the United States are victim of this program that is run by the CIA as a sequel of MK Ultra that never died. And you should start educating yourself about it, because these are not conspiracy theories. Once you become a victim of it, you realize that the reason why the CIA, like Robert Kennedy said, CIA invented the term conspiracy theory to avoid discussing uncomfortable truths. So thank you so much, Len, for being here. Is there anything that I missed out on mentioning?
No, I think you painted a pretty complete picture, and I'm glad that we are talking to referring to new categories of people. We believe that the ultimate goal is for everyone to be targeted, for everyone to be surveilled 24/7. That includes neurocognitive surveillance as a part of this technocratic totalitarian agenda. And I'm glad that we're saying target individual. It's a kind of it's not a medical diagnosis, so you can't really have a definition. But we're talking now J6ers, people who have been put on the terrorist screen database for other reasons, like people who prayed in front of abortion clinic. I mean, that it just we all have to realize that the society is not moving in the right direction, and we need to do something about it. So
yes, it's targeted America, really. Hashtag targeted America, because the plan was to roll it out to the entire population. So we are stopping it right on its tracks. And the good sign is that President Trump, the first executive order that he signed is against the weaponization of the government. And he is instructing the DOJ to investigate the malfeasance by the law enforcement and intelligence community, and the same with the Director of National Intelligence, which we hope that Tulsi Gabbard gets confirmed, because she was targeted. She was illegally placed on the terrorist screening database, and the Quiet Skies program that derives. This is important for all of you to know. some of you might get the 4 S's on your boarding pass when you travel. That means that's absolute certainty that you are on the terror screening database, but those 4 S's are derived from the Quiet Skies program, which feeds itself from the main terror screening database. It's basically whoever they want to harass more. So some of you will not get stopped or harassed when traveling, but you're still on the list. The fact that you are not told is because law enforcement and travel people, everybody, they are forbidden from telling you that you are on this list because you were placed there illegally, because you are not a terrorist. And I have hope, very much hope, that it's very encouraging what President Trump signed. It's going to come to an end soon. And Mr. Patel is very clear, for those of you that have read his book, he's very clear on the abuses of the intelligence community and bringing them to an end. Any closing words, Len?
No, you said it all.
Thank you so much for joining me. And to all of you out there, I hope that you join us for very important content for you, because even though many of you do not identify yourselves as a targeted individual, if you are on the terror screening database and you get these silent hits and these traffic stops, you need to know what's going behind the scenes, because your life may depend on it. And we are here to support you and to give you actionable information that can help you save your life. Okay. So thank you, Len, and thank you for joining us, and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, I'm saying to end the stream and it's not ending it, so I'll go.